Well, one more place where there's no big surprises, Ali, is Egypt. Let's take a look at this story that sums up what happened 5 years after the revolution that ousted Hosni Mubarak. From I24 News defense correspondent Shai Ben-Ari.
January 2011, hundreds of thousands of Egyptians poured onto the streets of Cairo. Their demand, the fall of Hosni Mubarak's authoritarian 30-year rule. After 18 days of protests and violence, Mubarak finally stepped down, a staggering result that seemed to herald a new era of democracy. But for young activists like Mustafa, the Egyptian regime is no less repressive today than it was 5 years ago.
We've been banned from appearing on any media for more than 2 years. The small space still available for us in newspapers may or may not stay. But it's my duty and responsibility to say everything I believe, whether the regime likes it or not. Because at the end of the day, we fought for democracy, and democracy has not been implemented yet.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Egypt's new strongman, has already warned against holding demonstrations on the 5th anniversary of the start of the revolution, boosting security across the country. And over the past few months, the government has closed down several cafes and cultural centres that were regular hangouts of activists.
It's all part of an aggressive campaign of arrests and closures of places associated with the revolution. Those places used to embody the culture of the revolution. These used to be the open playgrounds of writers, actors and artists who took part in the revolution from the beginning. Places like Townhouse and Rawabet or Merit, the publishing house, where they used to camp out at during the revolution.
After Mubarak's successor, Islamist Mohammed Morsi, was ousted by the army in 2013, the authorities carried out a brutal police crackdown on his supporters and other opponents. Hundreds were killed and thousands more arrested. But many Egyptians are tired of years of political unrest and economic stagnation and credit Sisi for at least bringing some form of stability.
Egyptians are angry and frustrated. Their living conditions are getting worse every day, and hope for the future has been shaken. No one knows what's in store for them tomorrow.
And what will happen on the anniversary of the revolution is also uncertain, with the iconic Tahrir Square, the epicenter of the 2011 uprising, now totally under control of the authorities.
Yes, joining myself and Ali Waked from Cairo now is Jacob Wirtschafter, I24 News Cairo correspondent. Good evening, Jacob. Thank you for being with us.
Good evening, Ayman. It's nice to be with you.
It's good to have you. Jacob, we just took a look at the story about Egypt's situation 5 years after the ousting of Hosni Mubarak. And now with President al-Sisi supposedly cracking down of supporters of the Arab Spring ideals, what happened to the spirit of the movement that we saw in Tahrir Square? Is it in any way still alive?
I think my friends here in Cairo might say that the report that came up before you came to me, and in some ways your questions are more of an Al Jazeera way of looking at the question rather than how Egyptians are looking at it. There was a parliamentary election here 2 months ago, and there's a system in place for an institutionalized form of democracy in Egypt. And there are rules of the game, and those rules of the game don't include violent demonstrations, and they don't include terrorism. So the Muslim Brotherhood is out of this game. There were a few demonstrations in MB neighborhoods in Alexandria today. Cairo is quiet. The noise is inside Egypt's parliament, where there's a debate over the civil service law. And there are going to be arguments over how to restructure the economy and restructure local government and get Egypt back on track to get jobs in place here for 90 million Egyptians.
And yet, Jacob, despite this landmark of 5 years after the ousting of Hosni Mubarak, why were they, as you mentioned, very few people in Cairo today marking this occasion?
I think the reason it was indicated in your report is that the government made it clear that nobody should be on the street, okay? And the other reason is people are looking for security, they're looking for quiet, and they're looking for the government to start solving problems. They're not looking for a conflict. They're looking for some kind of consensus to deal with the issues facing Egypt.
Yes, Jacob Wirtschafter, thank you very much for that, joining us from Cairo. Ali, 5 years have passed. The Muslim Brotherhood was in power for 1 year. Now Al-Sisi, with a military rule, is ruling Egypt. It begs the question, is a democracy even possible in Egypt?
No, if the government keep walking on the track it is following since almost 2 years, and the liberal and moderate Islamic opposition don't have any room to act in the in the Egyptian public sphere, plus the Egyptian media are adopting self-censorship and are totally supporting the regime with a huge lack of any kind of criticism vis-a-vis the regime. I think this is the cocktail that is bringing us to the bad period of former President Hosni Mubarak, in which there is no opposition, self-censorship on the media, and a huge and central place to the military in the Egyptian institutions. We know that the one who were elected in the parliament that Jake mentioned are most of them businessmen very close to the regime and to the former regime of President Hosni Mubarak. The military confirmed all the candidates and accepted and banned other candidates. And the fact that all the figures we saw in the eve of 2011 were absent because they were abroad, they were killed or in jail, in my opinion, sums what is the situation of Egypt today.
5 years on, and it seems like we're talking about the same Egypt. Ali Waked, thank you very much for being with me tonight.